I'm Ocean Robbins, thrilled to be here with you today as we explore the science of the heart. We are here with one of the world's most preeminent experts on this topic, Dr. Deborah Rozman, co-CEO of the HeartMath Institute, an organization committed to showing the science of emotions, of love, and of how we can nurture the emotional heart and the physical heart for optimal coherence and well-being, using scientific principles and cutting-edge research to help us unlock our best lives and our most healthy selves. Deborah has been, I will say personally here, a mentor of mine going back over 41 years. In fact, when I was 10 years old, I went to a school that she co-founded called Evergreen School. It was the reason my family chose to move to Santa Cruz, California in 1984. So absolutely fascinating that here we are all these decades later, still working together and growing together. Deborah, welcome and thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you, Ocean, so much. And I'm just so delighted the beautiful human being you turned out to be from that 10-year-old boy. So appreciate you inviting me.
Oh, and let me say also, of course, this is a project of Whole Life Club. Nothing you hear today is medical advice. We are sharing coaching and our own best insights. Always consult with a qualified healthcare professional regarding your specific health realities and needs. Deborah is the author of numerous fantastic books. Her latest is Heart Intelligence, Connecting with the Heart's Intuitive Guidance for Effective Choices and Solutions. Deborah, I want to start by asking you what kind of brought you into this field of exploring the emotional and intuitive aspects of the heart and how that integrates with physics and science?
Oh my, that's a big question. Well, all my life, I have been wanting to understand what helps people change attitudes, improve behaviors, improve themselves, and what's the underlying mechanisms. I went to the University of Chicago, studied attitude change theory, became a behavioral psychologist, got involved in meditation and self-help. And in all that, I realized I would love to if somebody had taught me how to meditate when I was 6 years old. So I would avoid making so many non-intuitive choices that led to learning and growing through pain and suffering. And like all of us go through these periods. But I really was excited about finding ways to teach children how to meditate and listen to their hearts.
I was one of those children.
And I just knew you were one of them. That's why we started the school. Yeah, and I got my PhD in meditating with children. But in that whole process of discovery, I realized, because I was also teaching Gestalt psychology at the local adult school, and I realized that if I had a person sit on a pillow and be their head talking to their heart, which they pretended was on a different pillow, and then had them switch pillows and be their heart talking to their head about the problem and going back and forth, it was amazing. Two different centers of intelligence, of awareness, and they ended up finally getting their aha insights sitting on the heart pillow. And so I knew then there was something about the heart that's more than a blood pump or just a philosophy or poetry, listen to your heart, follow your heart. There was some access to real wisdom, which all the cultures and great teachers say, but I want to understand where this wisdom was. How is it connected to the heart or the heart chakra or whatever you want to call it? Mechanism had to happen there. And that's right around the time I met Doc Childrey, the founder of HeartMath, and this was before it was called HeartMath. And he talked about the intelligence of the heart. And he was researching that. And I sat up and listened because I knew that's what I wanted to research. So he invited me and others in my environment and the companies that I was running in the school that we had to actually start a research laboratory to study the heart, brain, body, spirit connection. And that's how the HeartMath Institute was started in 1991.
What do you think is the ideal relationship between the head and the heart and the conversation between them? How do they collaborate?
They collaborate by the way the human system was designed, where the heart is sending a signal through the vagal nerve and three other pathways, but the vagal nerve is really important, to the brain about how the body feels, the balance of the body. And that's through the blood pressure wave as well as energetically. But this vagal nerve traffic is really signaling whether the body is incoherent and stressed, the autonomic nervous system is out of sync, or whether the body and the nervous system is synchronized in a state of peace or calm or clarity. And it changes how the brain perceives the situation. So a balance between heart and brain, heart and mind, where the heart is guiding in coherence the mind, brain, and then the brain opens up to higher mind, more bigger picture thinking, more frontal lobe clarity, more executive decisions. That's why we call the book Connecting with Your Heart's Intuitive Guidance for Effective Choices and Solutions, because now you're using your full potential of your heart and brain. And that's what we do at HeartMath. We train people through programs and techniques and technology to get their heart and brain in sync. And then the decisions you make are much more aligned with who you really are. Most people have shut their hearts down from when they were babies or young kids opening their hearts. They've been hurt. They mind had certain expectations or desires. And when those were broken, it feeds back on the emotional system of the heart. And we say we have heartache or heartbreak because there is an energetic feedback. But it's not your heart that's breaking or aching. It's your broken mental projections, expectations, and all of the facts of the mind that are ego driven, which are meaning separate from other people and life. So the mind in society has been developed intellectually to a huge degree, even though it could go farther, but it's not been in a partnership with the real heart feelings and heart awareness. In fact, either emotions have been vented and or repressed. And it's the emotional feeling system is what the heart is designed to help us balance. And when we balance the emotions, a different signal is sent to the mind and brain. And our society has not studied that or developed it, except for some meditators or some people who naturally have an open heart and are creative and their heart and mind are in sync. So it's the next frontier from what I've researched of human evolution is to get your heart and brain aligned and coherent. And then your whole body, mind, spirit system comes alive.
Death, loss, even devastating loss seems to be part of all of our lives at some point along the way.
Yeah.
How might a coherent heart and brain respond to what many of us might think of as a tragedy?
Absolutely. Well, grief is when we have lost something and the mind perceives that it is a total loss. Nothing can replace it. And people have that kind of grief when relationships break up, when a death of a loved one, even a death of a loved pet can create this enormous grief of fear of not, you'll never have that feeling again. And, or the warmth of that relationship again. And the mind in grief too often just keeps repeating and repeating and repeating. And that creates a whole grief imprint. So it can come up over and over again. That is us not learning how the system works or how to manage the mind to be able to appreciate what we've lost and open the heart back up to what the new is. It may not be the same thing, but it's still your larger self is directing your life. Call it your soul, spirit, whatever you want to call it. And there is a next step for you that's rewarding and fulfilling, even though you don't believe it when you lost. So grief is one of those profound human experiences that when the mind can surrender to the heart and open back up to the heart, really leads to a tremendous growth and compassionate understanding for yourself and others. Now, it also leads to, when the heart and brain are synchronized, it leads to that higher perception, like the higher brain becomes an antenna more to other dimensions. So you have more of a feeling in your heart that the person you've lost is way okay, and you're really still connected in the heart. The only thing missing is the physical relationship day to day. And so understanding grief and how to transform it into new heart connection is really important for humanity.
Well, thank you for that profound explanation. How do you define heart coherence?
Heart coherence, I define it as when the heart rhythm pattern, which is the pattern of how your parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system are interacting. And when you're stressed, they kind of fight each other, almost like you driving your car with one foot on the brake and one foot on the accelerator, eats a lot of gas, wears and tears on the body. And you're just out of sync, and you feel out of sync. And the more upset, stressed, depressed, anxious, angry you are, the more your heart rhythm pattern, measured by heart rate variability over time, looks chaotic. It looks like you feel. And the opposite of that is when you're feeling calm and clear and loving and kind and appreciative and joyful, and all the what every ancient religion is called the qualities of the spirit or qualities of the heart, those uplifting feelings. Your heart rate variability or heart rhythm pattern goes into this smooth sine wave. Your autonomic nervous system, parasympathetic and sympathetic, are dancing harmoniously together in balance. And as they continue, they actually synchronize and send more heart power, so to speak, to your brain for more clarity and intuition. So that sine wave in physics is called a coherent waveform. So we call that heart coherence.
And what is heart rate variability, and why is that important?
It's your heart rate. If you go to a doctor or use a heart rate monitor, you'll see that maybe it's 65 beats per minute. And whatever it is, it's an average over a minute. But if you're somebody who is a Chinese medicine doctor and you can feel the pulse, you know heart rate is changing with every beat. And heart rate variability is the variableness. It's the beat to beat to beat changes in heart rate measured with a sensor over time. So in that, you get to see the pattern of the variability. Now, most smart devices, smart watches, are measuring heart rate variability, but not over time, just the amount, like how much it shifts from the top of the rhythm to the bottom, because that is a predictor of health. It changes with age. You have more as a child and you lose it as you get older, natural age-related decline, which relates to your flexibility, your emotional flexibility. So when you're a young child, you can be angry one minute, laughing the next, running up a hill, sitting down and calm. Children have no emotional management until they learn some, but they have huge heart rate variability, which is like, think of it as flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
Speed up, slow down, speed up, slow down. Whereas as we get older, we get more rigid in our ways. And some of that is natural. It's related to the rigidity too of the body as we get older. We're less flexible. But we can soften that and make it more flexible and have more resilience, because it's related to that, as we get older when we do some heart rate variability training. And one of the key aspects of that is looking at your emotional flexibility and the pattern that I just described of your heart rate variability, not the amount only, which is a very important indicator of recovery, sleep, all sorts of health issues, but the pattern is where you see your mental and emotional health. And that is a very important metric, which is only beginning to be widely discovered. HeartMath has launched that in 1995, the American Journal of Cardiology, and that's been our focus and specialty. But with the mental health crisis and with so many, over 400 peer-reviewed published independent papers on the value of heart coherence for all sorts of health and performance metrics, people are awakening more to the importance of learning to train yourself in heart rate variability, self-empowerment, self-management. It's very powerful, and you feel better. You feel better and you do better.
I'm thinking that in sort of what might be called more woo terms, like what you're really describing is living with an open heart, a heart that is available for connection, for lived experience, rather than one that gets walled off and blocked off, often in response to trauma or pain, and we
Right.
become numb and desensitized to life. That the capacity to love is a little bit risky because you're actually going to be impacted by the world around you, but
Right.
somehow that willingness to take that risk, to keep choosing love, is part of what creates that coherence, that connection, that integration, rather than something that's more insular and actually disconnected from our lived experience.
Absolutely. And there's nothing woo about it. The science and the physiology says that everybody in their heart knows deeply they want to love and be loved. It's
Yeah.
just natural state and desire. Love is what the world needs more of. Now, I'm not talking about romantic love or just parental love. I'm talking about that heart rhythm coherent state of love where our heart is open and we're connected with our brain and body and we feel more of who we truly are. That is really love. We're more connected with whatever our idea of spirit or other side or God is. It's our connection with life and source that is created by love.
My father passed away in June of 2025, and um, after he died, I found myself thinking a lot about the purpose of life and what happens when we die and what still matters, because we're all going to die, right? And it suddenly really got real to me that the purpose of life is clearly not even just about health, because when we die we don't take that with us, right? It's not just about accumulation of money or wealth or fame or power, because it seems to me we don't take any of that with us. But maybe love is really the center of life. Like maybe what we've given of love, what we've shared of love, how deeply we've loved, whatever we've learned about love, maybe that is uh, the most central thing that matters from the perspective of mortality. And I don't know if that's true or not. We have a lot of faith traditions that certainly would affirm that that the way that we live affects what happens after our life is over, and that living a righteous, a virtuous, a meaningful, a good life has long-standing value. But it seems to me that whether or not all of that's true, while we're here on Earth, the capacity to love fully and to live with our hearts as open as we can, somehow it just seemed so much more important to me in the presence of mortality. I think that, you know, that awareness of death actually can make life more precious and more meaningful and more beautiful while we're here. So I just wanted to add that piece to the conversation because this is landing very personally for me.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm also curious when people come into heart coherence, um, or create a healthier heart rate variability, which are two of the things that you're training people to do with science-based practices. Um, what are some of the benefits that their physiology will generally experience?
Yeah, well, let me first comment and appreciate what you just shared because it's not just what the scriptures or the wisdom teachings say. You experience that love connection.
Yeah,
And that's what's real, what people experience. That's why I say people really know in their heart or want to know. They want to feel that. It's not just belief. I mean, you
yeah,
can have a precious pet, pass away that you've loved, and you feel that heart connection. And to my experience and the research, what we're saying, that doesn't disappear when the body dies. That is on another dimensional energetic level, that's self-sustaining. Opening our heart and caring for each other, loving each other is really about an energetic. It's not something that is prescriptive. Here's how you need to care. Here's how you need to love. It is really opening the heart to those feelings, to those attitudes, to those virtues, and then allowing the heart intuition to guide you in how to manifest that. And the mind will do that. The mind will then facilitate the heart to do that. It's real important to understand how it works so that we know that that is what each of us really yearns for, because it's in our DNA. It's in life. I mean, you see it in how mother ducks love their baby ducks. It's just programmed into that kind of care into our DNA, but we don't develop it. And we're being challenged and have been by great teachers all along to love more, to develop that,
Mm-hmm.
to have the
Mm-hmm.
qualities of love, care, forgiveness, kindness. They are what activate that heart coherence,
Yeah.
feeling those qualities activated when you feel kind or caring or appreciative send a different signal to the brain, and the brain releases different hormones, different neurochemicals, different blood pressure. It has a cascade effect physiologically through the body. So yes, health improves, mental health, physical health, well-being. Obviously, relationships are going to improve if you're replacing judgment and hate and anger with more care and compassion and kindness. Doesn't mean you don't get upset or angry at times, but you bring it back to the heart so it can transform. It's like alchemical.
Yes.
You
Yes.
want to transform those feelings so you get a bigger picture perspective. It's not repressing and preventing them. It's bringing them back to the heart so the heart can send a different signal and give you new information about the relationship or the situation that allows you then to get along with the other person or make some different choices. One of the biggest problems we see in the world today is people don't get along. There's such separation. 23% of adults are separate from their children. The children cut them off. That is a huge number. And there's no avenue for them to see reconciliation because their belief systems are polarized. And you see that in Republicans, Democrats, religious polarization. As long as people say, my way is the only way, it's going to cut you off from people who don't have that experience or agree with that. The world desperately needs us to open our hearts to each other, listen to each other. You don't have to agree, but really honor that the mind is different among peoples. The hearts are all the same. So health, relationships, higher performance, athletic performance. I can't tell you how many athletic sports teams, Olympic athletes are using HeartMath's inner balance coherence plus sensor to get in sync before they perform, because that's the zone. You get in the flow, get in the zone, and you do better. So it has
Yeah.
numerous benefits, and if people go to Google Scholar or just Google HeartMath research, they'll see hundreds of published papers on research studies that show the benefits of coherence, from improving your musical playing as a musician to reducing ADHD and PTSD. It's just a global impact on the body.
It's so wonderful because we're talking about a system that helps people to feel better and to do better and to live longer. Like
Yes.
what an amazing combination, right? Like it gives more meaning, it gives more beauty, it gives more emotional
Yeah.
resilience, it gives more physical wellness, and it helps us perform at our best, you know? And I think we can all relate to I mean, I've played basketball and I know what it's like to take a shot when I'm like really present and I'm in the flow versus like not, and literally everything misses, like I've been in both states plenty of times. And of course, a lot of people have spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to get into what you're calling the zone. Fascinating that there is a science to that. And so tell us a little more about some of the specific methodologies, including maybe some things that folks watching right now could bring into their own lives to facilitate that kind of coherence.
Absolutely. Well, the mission of HeartMath has been from day one, once we discover this research, which is your natural state. This is not making something up. This is uncovering, unlocking human potential. And the heart is the key aspect of it. So we created a whole system called the HeartMath system and created training programs, books, tapes, video-based courses, and technology to help people see when they're actually in that heart rhythm coherence state. This is the Inner Balance Coherence Plus sensor. You clip it on your ear. You open up the HeartMath app or the Inner Balance app at the App Store. You download that, or the Google Play Store, and you see your coherence in real time or incoherence.
Mm.
And you learn, it has training programs like the 7 days to greater coherence, what to do and each day to learn how to get into that heart rhythm coherent, beautiful sine wave, and then how to sustain it long enough to increase your baseline heart coherence. So you're walking around in time with a new baseline, and most of the time you're in heart coherence. And when you get out, you know what to do to come back into that alignment. And that's been our goal, is to help activate and awaken and activate the heart of humanity, which is the heart of each one of us.
Mm.
And that's our dedication and passion, hasn't wavered at all. And so as someone who studied meditation, wrote books on meditation, it's always, how do we get this simpler and easier? What's the way that anyone can do this, regardless of their belief, their religion, their politics, just to get their heart, brain, body, spirit in sync? And so we developed a whole bunch of techniques, of which are in the HeartMath app.
Mm-hmm.
People can access that, find the techniques. There's a little actually camera sensor in there as well, which you can try out. You can subscribe. But 30 years of this HeartMath research and content is all available there. And then there's the HeartMath Experience, which is a 1.5 hour video course that gives you 5 HeartMath techniques.
Mm.
And the simplest one I'll teach everybody right now. It's
Okay, let's do it.
all right. It's called Quick Coherence. And stuff you've probably done before, but this is the actual steps that synchronize your physiology. And then you practice it, because you certainly can get thrown off by life and by your own reactions and perceptions. But come back to your heart and do quick coherence. So let's focus our attention on the area of the heart in the center of the chest. You can put your hand there if it helps you keep your center of focus there. Most of us go right back up to the head and mind, because that's where we live. But you can bring it back down to the heart. And what helps you lock it in there is doing heart-focused breathing. So you want to breathe in through the area of the heart and out through the area of the heart. Just breathing a little slower, a little deeper than normal. Maybe 5 breaths in, 5 seconds in, 5 out. Will get you in that heart rhythm coherence. So let's focus in the heart. Pretend your breath is flowing in and out through the heart or chest area. Breathing a little slower, deeper, maybe to a count of 5, in and out. Or just find an easy rhythm that's comfortable. We'll do this for a few breaths. Now, as you continue heart-focused breathing, recall or activate a genuine feeling of appreciation or gratitude for someone or something in your life. You can recall that feeling when you felt it before, or just activate it now if there's something you're grateful for, appreciative of. And just breathe that through your heart area. And if you can't actually feel it, you can always breathe the attitude of it. That works. And breathe slowly and deeply, and just breathe the feeling or attitude of gratitude or appreciation for someone or something. Now, if I had you hooked up to our inner balance sensor, you would see your HRV pattern, your heart rhythm becoming more and more coherent, more like rolling hills, sine wave life, as your autonomic nervous system comes into sync and sends that signal to your brain. Okay, thank you. That's
Thank
simple.
you. Okay, I want to geek. I felt that. I'm sure anybody who did that, or to whatever extent you did that, watching right now, you probably felt that too. Um, Deborah, can you break it down for us a little bit? Like, my brain wants to know, like, what about that is effective? Like, is slow breathing, intentionally slow breathing, sending our nervous system the reality that we're safe and calm and relaxed, because we tend to breathe slower when we're deeply relaxed at sleep? Is thinking about something we're grateful for, or somebody we love, like, is that creating like a portal towards, like, obviously when we think about something beautiful, it awakens more of our heart opening into beauty. Like, tell us a little bit about how you develop this and why it works.
Yeah, those are great questions to unpack this. So, shifting your focus to the heart, step one, by itself is getting you out of the racing mind and runaway emotions or just the chit chat, and you're syncing up with your own heart. That in itself shows power because the physiology starts to respond to that. Just even focusing on the heart. The heart produces oxytocin as much as the brain. It produces serotonin, it produces norepinephrine, it produces chemicals that are normally associated with positive emotion in the brain. But just focusing there and breathing there can help activate those feel-good balancing hormones. There's also a hormone called ANP, atrial natriuretic peptide, which is produced by the heart with a receptor in the brain, and it is called the balancing hormone because it helps create balance in the system, mental, emotional, and physical. So you are, just by switching your focus, and if you do that 10 times a day, just shift, you'll start to filter your perceptions through a wider lens, a wider angle lens. And the hormonal releases and the nervous system balance will start to facilitate that. So that's just step one. Now, heart focused breathing at that 10-second rhythm is the body's natural rhythm. It's also nature's resonant rhythm. Everything's frequencies. So when you're breathing 5 in, 5 out, or for different people, it could be a little less, a little more, that 10-second rhythm, you're harmonizing with nature. That's the body's natural harmonic. And the Global Coherence Initiative researchers discovered that the magnetic field, the core of the earth is producing magnetic energy, electromagnetic energy. And that magnetic field overlaps the frequencies in it, the cardiovascular frequencies in people. So that is 0.1 hertz, which is the 10-second rhythm, is the rhythm at the center of the earth. So again, you're harmonizing with nature, and that facilitation of nature is huge.
Hmm.
So that's what heart focused breathing at that pace helps. Now, for some people, especially more advanced meditators or coherence practitioners, that rhythm gets even slower in order for you to stay attuned to your intuition, your subtler signals. And those slower rhythms are also in the spectrum of the Earth's rhythms.
Hmm.
So that's the heart focus breathing. And it's really the feeling
Yeah.
and the attitude, the love, the care, the appreciation, the gratitude that enables you to keep that flow going and get in a flow state.
Hmm.
You don't want to just be breathing and huffing and puffing all day. As you do heart focused breathing and then breathe the attitude of gratitude or love or care or compassion, whichever heart quality feels the best at that moment, it starts to help you anchor in that heart coherent pattern. Because again, that is like the signature of the golden mean, the golden harmonic of nature is love. And all of those aspects of the heart are frequencies of love. If love were a pie, kindness, care, compassion, patience, gratitude, forgiveness, they're all slices of the pie, but genuinely feeling any of those feelings will put your HRV, your heart rhythms, into coherence.
Hmm. It seems to me that when our heart rhythms are in coherence, we are probably better able to hear wisdom voices, our better natures, to make smarter choices rather than acting out of reaction, fear, trigger.
Yeah, that's
Um,
absolutely.
I think of it as being in self rather than in reactivity.
Absolutely. Well, when you're in reactivity, you really have a stress reaction going, and the heart is sending an incoherent signal to the brain, and the brain, the thalamus, which is responsible for synchronizing cortical function, and the amygdala, the emotional center, which the signal from the vagal nerve, remember I mentioned that, goes to both centers, and the brain goes, okay, threat.
Yeah.
Go into fight, flight, or fright, and it shuts down the higher cortical functions. So you cannot think of the bigger picture or creativity or philosophize while that cortical shutdown is happening. Artists say, I need to get into stress in order to really be a great painter. Well, they do that, but then they move into another zone. And
Hmm.
it's the zone that is creating.
Hmm.
So it's again your intention is so important. So when you're reactive, you don't have all of your capacity there to see anything. Your perception is limited. And that can happen in a day or a night or an hour. You see things one way and then you see a bigger picture. You see it this way. The key is how do
Yeah.
you anchor the what you know is the highest or the biggest picture. That's where quick coherence can really help. You use that technique and it can start to anchor that wiser you into your cellular structure. So it's really important to know you are activating cortical facilitation when you do quick coherence. That vagal nerve signal is going all the way up to the frontal lobes, to the executive decision making center, to the compassion center, to the empathy center. You're becoming a bigger person
Hmm.
when you get heart coherent.
I love that. My wife and I have a practice. Sometimes we do it when we're particularly agitated or in a struggling moment, which is we'll just appreciate three things about each other back and forth. And it's interesting how kind of the more agitated, angry, upset, unseen I'm feeling, the harder it is to get that first one
Yeah,
out. But the more life changing it is. And
that's
invariably, by the third round, I'm remembering why I chose to marry this person.
yeah,
and and I feel like, oh, when there's love there, we can overcome anything. It's just
absolutely.
details, you know. But when there's not love there, then like we can't do anything. And
That's right.
so it's
And
really just about to look at through the lens of what you're describing today. It's to open our hearts.
absolutely. And people need tools to help them do that because we've been so entrained the other way. leave your emotions at the door, cut off your feelings. I mean, this is a whole nother level of human evolution. And it's time, because we're not going to survive as a species without knowing that love
Yeah.
is what's highest, best outcome for ourselves and each other and the world. And it feels good. It feels so much better living that way. And this is not, again, some sentimental love. This is the real power of heart and love that we want. And that's what activates the next level of intelligence, which we call heart intelligence, because without that open heart, you're not going to have it. And I think, our mission now is to collaborate with other groups and individuals who sense this and want to co-create a new world based upon science that shows us that it's good for our physiology, health, our relationships, and who we really are, to get more coherent, heart coherent,
Yeah.
and help love go viral. Everything else is going viral. Let's help.
Why not love? We have a
Uh,
question from Angie, a Whole Life Club member. She said, "This has bothered me for years. Perhaps you have an explanation. Why do we blame the heart for all of our emotional problems?
yeah.
I believe is the brain that we block off to see the logic or stupidity of words that cause us discomfort and pain. Does the heart physically actually have any involvement? After all, it is an organ that does a super important job. Or in reality, is it the brain?"
So, first of all, the heart is an electrical organ. With every heartbeat that is keeping the whole body alive, it's putting out 2.5 watts of power. And it's creating an electromagnetic field that's been measured 5, 6 feet from the body. It probably goes farther than that, but that's all farther a magnetometer can measure. Whereas the brain, you can only measure about an inch from the brain, the electromagnetic field. So it's through this heart's field that we pick up on each other's vibes. When someone's angry, you can sense it. When someone's loving, and you go into a cathedral where a lot of people have been loving and praying, and you feel, uplifted. That's energetics. So when we get angry, upset, feel hurt, betrayed, all of those perceptions create those feelings, because we didn't perceive it. We wouldn't feel that. And that's from the mind that is not aligned with the open heart, because if the heart is open, we would have compassion for that person, understand that their life is tough, whatever stresses they're going through, and we wouldn't take it as personal as we do otherwise for most situations. So the heart gets the blame, because when we're out of sync like that, and that strong sense of hurt, betrayal, anger, that electricity that the heart's putting out, that incoherent waveform, backwashes on us. It feeds back, and we feel heartache, heartbreak, pain in the heart, hurt in the heart. People die from that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not the core heart. The core heart is still loving and open and caring, and it's its nature. It's who you are. When I ask children, like I think I probably did in this school, but certainly when I was getting my PhD thesis at the Soquel Elementary School was my research area, I pointed to these kids and said, who are you? Where are you located? Who are you and where are you? Everybody pointed to their heart. One kid pointed to their brain.
Yeah.
It's natural. Our sense of being is here, our core sense. That's always there, even if it hurts, because of the backlog, the feedback from having the mind feel broken and
Mm-hmm.
betrayed and hurt. So that's really the mind. Emotions are neutral energy. They follow the mind or the larger heart.
Hmm. My mind, my thoughts have an appearance of objectivity. And there are times when I may be able to observe data or facts with a certain level of neutrality. But I find that all too often my thoughts are actually tilted towards seeing the world in alignment with my emotions.
Yeah. Well, they go both ways. Mind feeds the emotions, emotions feed the mind, and it ends up in a huge loop, a stress loop usually. And but it can be a virtuous loop too, when you are loving and caring, and then the emotions feed the mind, and you see new ways to relate, and that feeds back into emotional uplift. So it can be a virtuous emotional mental feedback loop as well. It really is where you're putting your belief and your intention.
All right. Well, here's to more virtuous feedback loops, more love, more joy, more coherence, more connection. Friends, we've been talking today with the brilliant Dr. Deborah Rozman, co-CEO of the HeartMath Institute, co-author with Doc Childry of Heart Intelligence, a brilliant book. If you want to learn more, check out the HeartMath app and the incredible resource library. Deborah and her whole team have spent decades studying this and bringing these tools to the world. Deborah, I just want to thank you so much for having such a profound influence on my life, teaching me to meditate at the age of 10, and now bringing this incredible work into the world that is showing us a path, a logical, science-based, proven path to having more love, more coherence, more vitality, and more meaning in our lives.
Well, thank you so much, Ocean. I really feel honored that we're coming back together to share this with the world. And go to heartmath.com, look around, look at the research. We have coaching programs to see what you're drawn to. And thank you very much. Take care of yourself, and let's all take care of each other.
Yes, thank you.
When it comes to cancer, Alzheimer's, diabetes, heart disease, and other chronic illness, what really matters isn't how many books you read, how many webinars you attend, or how much you know. What really matters at the end of the day is what you eat and how you live. The science has given us what we need to know. Now it's time for action. It's time to implement and optimize your healthy lifestyle. It's time to get results. It's time to say goodbye to confusion and hello to clarity. It's time to say goodbye to bad habits and hello to good ones. It's time to fall in love with foods that love you back. It's time to join a community that will support you in achieving your goals. It's time for Whole Life Club.